act is going to be Tom Holtackers, and he's going to do stand-up comedy.
Thank you, thank you. I want to clarify that. I don't do stand-up comedy anymore, at least. MS sucks, you know what I mean? Some years ago I was having some problems, so I went to the doctor.
What did he say?
Oh my goodness. I said, doctor, I'm having problems. And he said, well, explain what you're having problems with. I said, super fatigue, my bladder's leaking all over the place, and my bowels are in an uproar. And he said, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We have to have you get a urine sample and a stool specimen. I said, oh man, that's a pain in the butt that is. So I went home and I explained to my wife, I said, I need a stool sample and a urine sample, or a urine specimen. And she said, well, why don't you just give him a pair of urinal pants? I said, okay, well, whatever. I said, you know, my wife, she was really understanding. Yeah, take my wife. Yeah, really, take my wife. Well, you know, I married her really not for her looks. That didn't really turn out. I should have looked at her mother first, because, boy, she was ugly. Oh, man. She was so ugly, she had to sneak up on a glass of water to get a drink. You know, she was so ugly, she looked like she fell out of the ugly tree and hit a branch on the way down. I tell you, she was really ugly. If I had a dog with a face like that, I would have shaved its butt and tried to teach it to walk backwards. She was so ugly. She knew she was ugly. I mean, she really knew she was ugly. She changed healthcare insurers, and she prayed that they didn't consider ugly as a pre-existing condition. So I went back to the doctor.
What did he say?
Said, well, Tom, we need some more tests. And I said, well, you know, I'm having more problems. I said, my legs are jumping all over the place. My walking is terrible. In fact, I stagger into bars and walk out straight after a beer or two. And my libido, boy, that's turned to vertigo. And at night when I go to bed, I get all stiff and hard, all the wrong places. And then in the morning, I find it hard to get up in the morning. I tell you, it's really depressing. MS sucks, you know what I really mean? Anyways, he said, well, let's give you an MRI. I said, what's that? What's an MRI? He said, well, an MRI, you have to lay on your back, and we're going to put you inside a real strong magnet. And you're going to have to lay very, very still for 2.5 hours. And I said, man, I got jumpy legs, my bladder's not working, you know, what else is going to, you know, what can I do? And he said, well, you just have to make sure that you don't have any loose fillings, because they may come out in this big, strong magnet. Well, anyway, I went home after the test, and a couple weeks later, I went back to see the doctor.
What did he say?
He said, Tom, we did an MRI of your brain, and we found nothing. But the problem is we also found something wrong with your spine, so we're going to have you have an x-ray. So, oh boy, what a pain in the neck that is. So I went to the x-ray technician, and I started to take my shirt off, and he said, well, that was kind of a bother. Don't bother to take your shirt off. We'll just turn up the power. Anyway, so I did that, and I went home, and I still had some problems, and so I went back to the doctor. He said, doctor, he says, Tom, I'll tell you what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have surgery. And you're going to have surgery on your back. Well, so I went in to get ready for surgery, and as I got onto the gurney and went into the elevator, and my surgeon got on the elevator, and I thought, uh-oh, I think I have a problem here, because there was a nurse running down the hallway to get in the elevator, and just as the elevator doors were closing, and he didn't put his hand in to hold the elevator open, he put his head in there. So I really knew I was in trouble. I was really in trouble. Well, after the surgery, I had a lot of pain. I was having an awful lot of pain. So I went into the doctor. I said, doctor, he said, well, son, you've tried all the medications that, we normally give people, but, you know, my wife takes Midol, and that really helps her, helps her with her pain. I said, isn't that the stuff that women take for their menstrual cramps? And he said, yeah, that really works. So I tried it. And it really works. Ladies, you've been hiding that from us all these years. Us guys, I mean, we could have been taking Midol for our headaches or whatever. So I took it for about 6 months. It really worked great. There's only one problem. I get irritable every 28 days. Anyway, so I went back to the doctor. He said, well, Tom, it looks like you're having problems walking. He said, well, we're going to get you a wheelchair. I said, wheelchair? Oh, man. You know, what kind of wheelchair am I going to get? Well, we'll get you a real fancy wheelchair. It's lightweight. It's made by a company called Quickie. All right, Quickie. All right, that's great. You know, it's smooth. It's you know, really sleek. I said, but I have a two-door car. You know, how can I get a Quickie in the back seat? And he said, take the wheels off first. Well, I did okay with that, but I still had some problems. I had problems with memory, and so I went back to the doctor.
What did he say?
He said, we did all the tests, and you have a photographic memory. It's just that you forget to put the film in. That's the only problem. I said, your memory is I have a good memory. It just seems to be short. The only problem is, you know, memory is the second thing you go. I just can't remember what the first thing is. You know, memory is so bad. I was one day I met this beautiful woman, just voluptuous woman, beautiful, and she wanted to make mad, passionate love with me. So we went up to her place, and she said, "Well, to get in the mood, why don't we get some wine?" And I said, "Okay, I'll go down and get to the local liquor store and get some wine." So I went down there, and all of a sudden I just sat down on the bench, and on a bench after getting the wine and started to cry. And one of my buddies came up to me and said, "You know, why? You know, what's going on?" I said, "I met this beautiful woman. She's wants to make mad, passionate love with me." And the guy says, "Well, why are you crying?" I said, "I can't remember where she lives." Well, anyway, memory is really bad. You know, I'm forgetting the last punchline of the joke. Well, eventually went back to the doctor again.
What did he say?
He said, "I have bad news and I have worse news." I said, "Oh man, bad news and worse news? Well, tell me the bad news first." He said, "Well, I'm sorry to say this, but you have MS." "Oh man, MS? Well, that's terrible." "Well, what's the worst news?" He said, "Well, you have really bad memory." I said, "Really? Well, at least it isn't MS." You know, MS sucks. You gotta really, you know.
Judges are tough tonight. For our next act, we were trying to get Heloise and her helpful hints, but however, we couldn't. But we are proud to announce Pointers with Precious Patty.
Yep. Hello. How you like me so far?
Good. Right.
I was going to wear a tent dress and makeup tonight, but the circus is still in town, so it's this. Important pointers for everybody to be aware. What's up by my mouth? Like this? Okay. A woman without a man is like a fish without a bicycle. These don't have to be funny because you guys are probably really sore from laughing and clapping, so this is a little break. Women and cats will do as they please. Men and dogs should get used to the idea. A world without men. No crime, but lots of bad, happy women. And this is a beverage of choice. This is not alcohol related necessarily. Don't drink and drive. You may hit a bump and spill your drink. You'll always be my best friend. You know too much. I'm destined for greatness. I'm just pacing myself.
Thank you very
I've
much.
got to meet myself. When I get back before I return, hold me here so I can see myself when I get back before I return. Thank you very much.